Let me just make this point here. She's now 22, first starred in the Cosby series when she was 16 years old. This led to a spin-off. You knew that, A Different World, starred with Mickey Rourke in Angel Heart. Has a beautiful 16-month-old daughter married to Lenny Kravitz. Here is Lisa Bonet. Listen, they're crazy about you. Didn't vaccinate her baby.
And had her at home.
And had the baby at home, did you? Yeah. Didn't go with all the rubber gloves and all that?
Right.
That is great. She breastfeeds,
I'll
too.
tell you.
Caring.
And you breastfed your baby?
I'm still breastfeeding.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that is great.
Did you lie down for the delivery? Yes, you're not that.
I was squatting.
Did you do that too? All right, let me tell you who else is here. Our next guest has never had a baby in his life. From San Juan, Puerto Rico, you know him as for his performances on stage, television, and film, notably Kiss of the Spider-Woman, Tequila Sunrise, and a whole bunch of other things. Here is Raul Julia. Listen to this now. Went to school at home when he was a kid. His parents didn't send any of his... he has 5 children, one of 5 kids. Never went to school.
Oh, just for a little while.
For a little while. Shh, I haven't introduced you yet. You know him as, hey, only Best Supporting Actor nomination, Academy Award nomination for Running on Empty. His latest film is on the marquee as we speak. I Love You to Death. Here's River Phoenix. All right. Let me tell you what is not so funny. These are very politically active young artists who give a darn, as we say in the afternoon on television, about a lot of things. Now, let's start with Lisa. You, first of all, you have forsworn meat and dairy. You don't eat it at all, not eating, no.
No.
No meat, no dairy. Let me see if I can guess what's the staple of your diet. I bet you eat pasta.
I like pasta.
And you eat a lot of birdseed and green vegetables and all that. I mean, is there protein in this? You look fine to me, but I am wondering.
I feel good. I eat just about everything except for meat. And I mean, there are so many other things to eat: fruit and nuts and.
You have become very, very. You are very impressed, and in many ways, your own diet and your own lifestyle now has been significantly determined by John Robbins, who was an heir to the Baskin-Robbins ice cream fortune, and walked away from what could have been some kind of career for him. I'm sure he would have run the place, in order to get into what he saw was a whole lot of stuff going on in the world that he didn't like, and one of those would be, I assume you share his feeling that our preoccupation with meat and dairy products has what? Has polluted the earth, has caused, we don't know about the chemicals in this thing, it's not good for us, and we've been sold
Breast
to build...
cancer, colon cancer, it's very serious. You know, all my life I've only heard about the 4 basic food groups and how good it is and essential these things are to our existence. Mm-hmm. And yet, when you read the statistics and educate yourself about what's in it and what's it doing to our body, it's very scary. It's not good for us. And it's not good for the planet.
Mm-hmm. You think the lobbying, the agribusiness and all this, I'm sure.
Total manipulation to keep a lot of people very rich.
You feel that the political pressure or the marketing pressure to buy meat and dairy is not unlike the pressure on women in the 50s and 60s not to breastfeed. Do I understand?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it only weakens us, and it keeps us going back to the doctors, keeps our children weak, and we've completely turned, we don't live to eat, you know, we eat to live, and we seem to forget that.
Well, Raul, how do you fit in here? Do you share Ms. Bonet's personal tenets here?
I must say I'm a neophyte as far as, I've just started reading John Robbins' book, and I find it very important, and I've been working with the Hunger Project since 1977. So my commitment really, and as well as the commitment of 6.2 million people over the world, is to the end of hunger by the end of the century. But I find that it's all related. The environment and ending hunger is all very much related to a better world. What the Hunger Project specifically is about is through education and enrollment and communication to generate the will to end hunger in so far as we make it a priority in the political and economical agenda, so that we actually create opportunity for those people who are hungry to feed themselves.
Yeah.
But they don't need to be hungry. You know?
No, they don't. I'm just wondering,
Definitely
don't
not.
accuse me of cynicism now. I have to ask you these questions. It's so overwhelming, hunger in the world. And the politics of this thing, and whose side are you on, and are they starving because it's not there? Are they starving because some guy is who's leading the community? How much money do we give to African nations versus Western, white,
well,
you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, it's overwhelming if we don't know anything about it. I think ignorance is what makes us overwhelmed. Once we learn the truth about the hunger, for example, or the environment, and how we can contribute, and how very much it's within our power, really, to do it, and to end hunger, and to improve the environment, and to save children from diseases and starvation, and from false vaccinations and things like that. Once we educate ourselves, then it's much easier. It's ignorance that makes us feel overwhelmed about things.
Jump in here, River, and as you do, let me remind this audience, as I've said, you're the oldest of 5 children. I assume you were brought to ecological awareness as a very early, when you were a kid, huh?
Luckily, yes.
Your parents?
Yes, my parents shared a lot of kind of untold truths to me.
And your name is River. That's your name.
Yeah.
And what are your siblings' names?
Rain, Liberty, Summer, and Joaquin.
This sounds Native American, are you?
I have a little in me. How much, I don't know.
As much as you can get, I bet you hope. The first citizens who cared about the earth were Native Americans, certainly in this part of the world. So let's hear from you here now. You've joined 2 other politically active artists.
Glad to be here.
And tell me what moves you
Well,
here.
I would like to redefine for everyone here, if possible, what is an environmentalist. I think that we all just have that natural birthright to be so. It shouldn't be a label. In fact, you know, if the government has any qualms about it, they should put it in perspective of maybe the defense budget, whereas this is defense that we're talking about, defense for our life support system. And let's divert some of these funds and put them into a direction that might save all of mankind.
I tell you what, it's not an F-117A, you know what I mean? And I don't know if my brother-in-law is going to get a job if you guys take over here. You see, the problem is, I'm sure you know, we've got an economy that's very much built on war and Christmas. And it's awfully hard to get people to, it's hard to get people, global warming, I don't know, what do you think? You know, it's not a baby in a well.
What kind of life can anyone with success have if we have no stability, if we have no air to breathe, if we have no... It's like we can't even get along with each other until we have a place to do it from.
Well, this point should also be made, too, before I collapse here of my own cynicism. You're signing up hundreds and hundreds of people a day into various parts of this effort. I think it's very misleading to suggest that people don't care. I don't need to say that.
Oh, people do care.
Yes,
they do care. And everyone cares. It's just like, where do you start?
But well, how much of the caring then is moved to political action? How many people are going to sit in a small room on a wooden chair listening to somebody with slides, trying to help them make their own contribution? That's the issue.
That's not where it has to begin. It begins with making yourself aware and changing your habits at home, you know,
As consumers, we have so much responsibility, and that's, I think, what we all need to assume more so, especially once the information has been given, you know, clearly. I read John Robbins' book, you know, and it shed so much light on all this, and I had no idea. No matter how much someone tells you hear, until you read it for yourself and have the statistics and the scientists to back it, You know,
just some of the, we'll talk to John in just a moment. Okay.
I was going to say, look, how people are going to be moved to political action. They'll be moved to political action where they're outraged at what's going on. And what is going to outrage them is education, information, communication, and then enrollment. And then they'll move to political action. Anybody that says that ending hunger in the planet is impossible hasn't looked at what's happened in the past year when all the communist dictatorships of Eastern Europe, nobody could predict that. Everybody said it's impossible that communism will end in the planet, you know? So don't give me any more excuses that it can't be done. Anything can be done when a critical mass of people get behind it, and hunger is no exception.
And your cynicism is right, I think, because, you know, it is thought-provoking, and we need to be the devil's advocate, you know, on all these matters.
Soil erosion alone. Apparently, we are quite literally losing
the downfall of the greatest civilizations. Loss of topsoil.
And global warming now, that's apparently, that has happened, and certainly enough members of the scientific community have stood up to say so. And so here we are. It's the only neighborhood we got. It is called the Planet Earth. River, what do you remember about the book, just before we meet John? I mean, what are some of the things? First of all, let's talk about meat for a second. You got to kill an awful lot of animals in order to ship a small quantity of meat to a marketplace. That's one problem. A mountain gives birth to a mouse here.
We have species that we haven't even discovered yet in the rainforest that have been mutilated and are forever lost, and plant lives and medicines and all sorts of amazing properties that take millions of years to develop, and in a single day we just cut it down, you know, 2 football fields every 2 seconds or something. And it's so that we can have cheaper hamburgers, and I think that our priorities are...
You know, right now it's convenient for us to chop down the rainforest for hamburgers. But when we have no more rainforest left and we are having a hard time breathing, it's going to be too late.
What do you feed Zoe?
She's still nursing, and
Well, but no.
More, plus. Let me finish.
Okay.
She's still nursing, and then I give her protein-enriched pasta and soy yogurt. She likes. She's very picky. She likes guacamole. She likes broccoli. She likes split-pea soup. She likes rice and...
We're all getting hungry here.
There's a woman in the front row going... No, listen, I don't know anybody who's going to... you obviously love your baby, and you're an enlightened mother, and everybody should have that. And your baby does. Huh?
I said that's why I'm here, you know, to share what information I've learned.
Yeah. Now, tell me, Lisa, just... we got to... if they want to ask you about it, and they will, it's legal, but we don't want to have too many subjects in the air to get confused. You're not scared you didn't vaccinate your baby?
I'm scared, and I'm scared to vaccinate her, which is why I didn't vaccinate her in the first place, and which led me to read about the warnings that are out there. And what I've learned are there warnings about introducing these alien microorganisms into our children's blood, and the long-term effects, which could be trivial, or they could be quite hazardous, and they could be just allergies or asthma or sleep disorders, or they could be cancer, leukemia, multiple sclerosis, sudden infant death syndrome. It's very scary and it's very serious, and I think because I felt wrong doing it, that's why I didn't do it. And you know, I mean, we have to think twice. Why are our children getting these diseases? Why?
And what is the biochemical legacy of the vaccination? How long does it last, and what might it be its effect? Yeah, you're putting something into your baby's bloodstream. Everybody ought to think about that twice.
We get this official stamp, and someone's designated to give us this information, which isn't really known about or researched, you know, and we find out the hard way, you know. No one knew that, you know, the pill in its original state, you know, for women, birth control, I don't want to get into this is a big one, but was so detrimental to health and the hormonal imbalance and all of the above. Let's bring out John Robbins. He knows all this stuff.
All right.
But you should be able to believe these people that are telling us what is good for us. Why? Because they're our brother man, yet that's not the case.
Yeah.
Well, look, what I see is that a new era is coming. I think you might call it the 90s era, but it's a new era for the planet. Which thinking is shifting from profit and seeing success as how much money you have in the bank, and into seeing success as what a difference you make with other people and with yourself. I think that's a shift that is happening.
How many this audience wants in? We'll give you a chance, and we will meet John Robbins in a moment. Are you there, caller? Hi.
Yes, hi. My question is for Lisa,
Yep.
and you mentioned your baby and that you feed her, all of those things. My son is 10 months old. That does not satisfy his appetite. You know, I give him broccoli, organic baby food even, and I find that I have to give him chicken. We don't eat meat, but he needs more. And what could I feed him?
Are you still nursing?
No.
Well,
That wasn't enough for him. I've tried to breastfeed him, and he just, you know, he needed more.
Can he talk? Did he tell you?
How old is your baby?
10
More
months.
than
10
the milk
months.
I could give him, though. I knew he was hungry.
Yeah.
Well, I know Zoe's very picky. She still nurses, and she's satisfied with that. And also, like I said, I supplement her diet with other things, that I told you. And I guess you just have to really experiment.
So Zoe will not have fish or chicken, then, is that right?
No, they're poisonous now. You know, they're not. It's not even if you get organic chickens. You know, our oceans are polluted. And
Well, the fish that they're feeding the chicken has estrogen in it.
We do have an awful lot of additives, no doubt about it, and we've had a number of other people say that on our program.
We're flushing our toilets into the sea, and so everything that goes out, Drano,
Yeah.
all that
Yeah.
is in the fish.
And we're continuing to use styrofoam. And how many?
But there's hope. There is hope.
We believe you, River. We believe you.
One thing that is important, I believe, is not to make these guys that are polluting the oceans or the guys that are even the cattlemen, not to make them villains,
They're not.
but include them in the purpose. Include them that they can actually contribute positively.
Very good point.
You know what I'm saying? Not to separate sides and say, these are the bad guys, we're the
Right,
good guys.
'cause we're
It's no
flushing
longer a
the
matter
toilet.
of you or I. It's a matter of you and me. And that's very important, and that's what's going to make it work. When we get these guys to see that they can actually make a difference and contribute within their own power, their own businesses, and perhaps instead of growing cattle, they can grow oranges, or they can grow melons, or they can grow something. You know what I'm saying? It's not a matter of villains and good guys. It's a matter of you and me. Now, this is the 90s. That's what this is about.
Very good. You remind me, and I know you'll be flattered, of Archbishop Romero.
Oh!
The man that you played in a film, one of the heroes of our century, the man who was assassinated as he said Mass on the altar in El Salvador. Are you there, caller? Hi.
Hi. I do believe that the three people on your stage right now have a good cause. And aside from Raul, I think that both Lisa and River don't give an appearance, so people might not take them as seriously as they might if they gave a more presentable appearance.
Well, we got to get a shirt and tie for River and maybe some...
You know what, though? You know, you're going to let nutrition and health and love, like, you're going to hold yourself back from life
let the
because of the
truth
way
cut
we're,
Yeah.
our appearance.
It's not about dress
It's an
code,
excuse.
you know?
Yeah, these are...
Take your bra to your grandma.
Do you have children, caller?
Yes, I do.
How old is the oldest?
Well, I have one. He's 14 months.
14? Well, you know, this is the way 20-plus-year-old people dress today.
It's that we don't premeditate it. We just get up in the morning and put on what's clean.
Yeah.
And we are clean.
Yeah.
So that means I'm older.
I'm sorry. Look, why don't you and I both agree that, maybe if we just give them a chance here, and let's think about substance more than form, and also commend all of our guests for the heartfelt sincerity that they bring to their effort here to save the late, great planet Earth. And we'll be back in just a moment. We are joined by John Robbins, founder and president of Earth Save Foundation, and author of a book titled Diet for a New America, whose book and whose own personal thesis of life has attracted the attention of Lisa Bonet, Raul Julia, and River Phoenix, and others. All right, John, here we go. Give us your best shot here. You want to open by making what brief point about Diet for a New America, or Earth Save?
Well, we're told today to think globally and act locally. And it turns out there's nothing more local than the food on our plates. It turns out that all the environmental problems that have just been mentioned, that seem to be so overwhelming, that we can really benefit them, that we can really have an impact by what we choose to eat. The tropical rainforests, as was mentioned, are being cut down to grow cheap burgers. And when we stop eating them, those rainforests can grow.
You don't eat meat or dairy?
No, I don't.
Uh-huh. And do you play tennis? Are you all right?
As a matter of fact, I'm a marathon runner.
The same as, you know, are you good in,
I'm a triathlete.
You are?
I'm doing all right.
And your major source of protein would be what food stuff?
I would say beans.
Beans?
Beans and grains.
Beans. Johnny eats your beans. Okay, but you're going to tell me that this is a prejudice I have, aren't you? And that if you get into it, it's not so bad, and it's not like eating wet Kleenex. Will you promise me this, John?
I will promise you it's not mashed yeast and sprouts.
Uh-huh. Did you walk away from the Baskin-Robbins, your parents?
My dad and my uncle were the founders of that company, and because I was my dad's only son, I was always groomed. I was expected to succeed him.
Yes.
But I walked away because I felt that in a world where every 2 seconds a child dies of starvation, where the environment is deteriorating rapidly under the impact of human activities,
yes,
that inventing a 30-second flavor just wasn't an adequate response for my life.
And, of course, the management and the owners of Baskin-Robbins throw a horse blanket over the television when old John comes on. And, okay, just give us some specifics here now, friends. We're a little bit general here. Like, the reason you think that the meat industry is not in the long-term best interest of the globe is, for example,
well,
what?
For example, I think people should be angry when they're told to take fewer showers and not wash their car and not flush the toilet sometimes because to save water. Now, we do need to save water, but over half the water used for all purposes in the United States
Grassland.
Is used to produce beef. And you end up saving more water.
To keep the acreage...
to grow all the enormous amounts of grain that it takes to produce a little bit of beef. It's a very wasteful system. Turns out you save more water by not eating one hamburger than you would by not having a shower for 2 months.
Anybody else want in on that to throw us an example out here? Anything that caught your eye? It's up to you. River.
We're bombarded from age, whenever you start school, with this sort of propaganda that if you don't eat your milk and your eggs and your chicken and your fish and your meat, then, well, you'll just die and you won't grow up to be big and strong like your grandfather, and that's just not true.
It's completely ironic because, as John says in his book, the more animal fat that we eat, especially ladies, the more prone we are to breast cancer.
So your odds of dying of a heart attack as a male in this culture, eating this typical diet, are worse than 50%, caused by disease caused by your arteries clogging up and hardening on you. But if you stop running animal fat daily through your bloodstream, your odds get significantly better. They get from worse than 50% down around 5%.
Yes.
One of the things that I learned reading John's book was that we really live in an abundant planet. We always come from insufficiency, like there's not enough to go around. We should come from abundance. I mean, reading what the amount of grain that we feed to animals could feed twice the population of the entire world. So we really have abundance in the midst of this silent holocaust that is happening every day, in which, for example, in the process of this show, in the time that it will take to do the show, 1,800 children will have died as a consequence of hunger and malnutrition, when we have abundance all around us.
And McDonald's cares for you. Remember that, all of you.
Right here.
I was wondering what each of your personal plans were for Earth Day.
Well, I'm going to be in L.A. There's going to be an Earth Day rally at the what's the name of that place? At the exposition park in L.A. Sunday the 22nd from 2 to 4, I'm going to be on an Earth Day rally there.
For me, every day is Earth Day. And if this celebration of this one day that everybody is getting together to acknowledge the importance of this problem is great, but if it just excites us and doesn't change us, we failed.
Phil, I have a concern about Lisa's reluctance to vaccinate her baby. I can understand your concern about some of the side effects from some of the vaccinations, but if you look into the literature, you'll see that many, many more children have been saved from those vaccinations than have been killed from them. And I work in public health, and I just think it's too bad to give people the idea that not vaccinating your baby is a positive thing to do. I really feel strongly about it.
There's always exceptions. There's always exceptions. The idea just to automatically trust and take someone else's word as the truth and then go ahead and do it without even researching yourself. Right. I think she's posing the idea that maybe you should research it and take your baby as an individual and not just as another one coming through on the production line and here, give it pills, give it this, shoot it up.
Yeah. Lisa.
The vaccinations have done some great
Lisa,
things.
I'm not
That's
sure you
true.
disagree with the woman's premise.
Well, I think that...
babies have been saved by the vaccine.
Yes.
Now the question is, what is the mother's responsibility today, and should it be made individually and thoughtfully and with information, which is, I guess, what you think you did, huh?
Yes, and until I find maybe more information that says I should vaccinate my child, you know, maybe then I will. But right now, I feel very skeptical both ways, and if I do feel that fear, then I'm not going to put that stuff in my baby's body.
I have a child that's going to kindergarten. I had to prove that he was immunized. What will you do when your child needs to go to kindergarten?
Well, I'm not so sure that Zoe's going to go to kindergarten. And the other situation...
You better tell us. Lisa, you're 3 or 4 shows here.
And also, there are religious documents that you can get, and there are ways around it.
What Lisa's doing is taking responsibility for her child's health instead of leaving it to the experts. Right. And I think that's fabulous.
I do, too. I mean, it's clearly, you are the new mother, and in many ways, the old mother, with a respectful bow to the mothers that preceded you.
I also say that there's a whole generation, and there's, when I think of those children who have not been breastfed, who have lost that natural immunization, and then are pumped with these other vaccinations for it seems completely unnatural and very, very frightening. And the fact that a bunch of rich people who gave us formula telling us that this was better than our breast milk.
You're angry about that?
It makes me furious, and that mothers have lost that bond. And
conscious here, not all of us, but well, a few of us have learned some stuff about breastfeeding and this and that. But now Nestle has taken their operations and their formulas and then hit the third world countries where they're completely just naive and just open arms, and anything that's American and has a nice, pretty plastic stuff.
Nestle, as a matter of fact, took a pretty big hit from some very active political people, not unlike yourselves, not long ago, to ensure that so-called third world mothers knew what to do with the product. Are you there, caller? Hi.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I first want to commend
I don't have a lot of time, so I know you'll be brief.
Okay. But I would like to ask, how long have you guys been involved in such projects? And also, I'd like you to address the issues of celebrity involvement in such issues. We know that it's kind of chic.
Why don't you tell us what you think of that?
What do I think?
Celebrity involvement.
I think it's very important. I think that as people who are mainstream and seen by America, they can get the ideas out and the information to people who do not know, like myself.
Yes,
and I'm very proud of them. I think Lisa has shown, and River and Raul have shown a considerable interest in today's society, and I commend them wholly on it. And I thank them as a young person. It's good to see other young people involved as well.
Tell us about this. It is true. We are seeing an increase in the number of politically active celebrities with special skew to younger folks, including you, Raul. I don't want to be...
I'm going to take my tie
off. Yeah, you better
off.
take your tie off. Speak about this, and I just, we've got some people looking through the blinds and wondering who's a hot dog and who isn't.
Well,
and do you really know what you're talking about? If you're an actress, what do you know about nutrition and vaccination?
Because we're people. We separate the celebrity from the people, and, and the thing about life here on Earth and success and glamour, and then you attain it, and you're like, what do I have? You know, do I have a healthy family? Am I healthy? Still, our celebrities are dying of cancer and AIDS and this and that.
Yeah.
You know, we aren't separate from the realities and the fear that exists on this planet. And the reason why we are here as celebrities is because we can be here, whereas some of these people in the audience might not be invited.
I think celebrity involvement has two aspects. There's the celebrity involvement of the celebrity that comes out into the public and doesn't know much about what they're talking about, and they're just there to be seen. And you ask them questions, and they, well, you know. So they're just there for their own celebrity. Yeah. Then there's the celebrity involvement that is really committed, that really studies the situation, and becomes a master of his cause. Then it goes beyond charity. It's no longer charity, it's a stand that this person has taken, a commitment, and that's what's going to make a difference, not just a nice charity, my pet charity and all that stuff.
And we'll be back in just a minute.
To be part of the audience, please send a postcard to Donahue Tickets, care of NBC, 30 Rockefeller Plaza, New York, New York, 10112. Remember, postcards only, please.
Sir.
I'd like to talk to Lisa Bonet. Since yesterday was Easter, could you explain to us what you had for dinner?
Sure. I baked some bread, and I made some coconut rice and some curried vegetables, some lentils with kale and carrots, and for dessert, I made a poppy seed cake.
And this is okay with Lenny?
He ate it up.
He did. Yes.
Sounds delicious.
I respect Lisa's wanting to nurse her child. I have 5 that I nurse too, and successfully. But what about the women that are not able to, that really want to, that are not able to? It sounds like you're
for medical
putting
reasons they aren't able to, or why wouldn't they be able to?
Well, Lisa should know that we got ourselves in a kind of a militant, unfortunate war here not long ago, in which it was somehow women who didn't breastfeed were somehow felt that people were out there encouraging them to feel guilty
And not
about
only
it.
that, it's unacceptable in public. There are people being thrown out of restaurants. It's like we can't even accept our own bodies.
Yeah, now that's a different issue, and I think we're on your side.
But the point is, but the point is that the breast has become a sexual thing rather than what it is. You know, it's to nourish our children, and of course, it's also sexy.
No, but this woman inquires about those certain percentage of women for whom breastfeeding has not been a...
Well, Phil, the thing is that there's no point in feeling guilty. You shouldn't feel guilty if you eat meat, for example. It's not a question of guilt. Let's throw guilt out the window and take responsibility for our lives and for creating a healthy world and healthy bodies and healthy children and a healthy society. Yeah. And if we join together at the heart and really make that commitment and take that stand like these celebrities are doing.
Right. I don't think Lisa wants to kidnap people who use formula. And if the mother is there and the breast is, if breastfeeding isn't working, you know.
Could I ask John a question? John, in reading your book, there was a percentage that you said, even if people reduced their meat consumption to a kind of...
What it is if the people of the United States reduced our consumption of meat by 10%, just 10%, which I think is a doable amount, that would free up enough grain to feed 60 million people for a year, which is more than the number of people who will die of starvation on the entire globe
Now,
this
John,
year.
please don't call me a guy who rains on parades, but we already have foodstuff which is capable of being used for this purpose and is to be found in warehouses and silos.
Actually,
so we do have to talk about how we're going to get what we have from our beloved breadbasket to the people who need it.
Yes, we do.
I have 2 test questions.
First of all, let me answer.
Lots of people out here, Rob. Go ahead.
Okay, give me a chance. All right, let me answer that about getting the food where it goes. We have, for the first time in the history of humanity, been able to avert famines. The last African famine that we had was averted by the commitment of people, not only in the United States, but all over the world, that got the food where it was needed, except for maybe 2%. So it's a myth that the food doesn't get where it goes. Now, what we need to understand also is the difference between famine and chronic persistent hunger. Famine is only 10% of the people that die every day of starvation. The people, the other 90% of the 35 to 40,000 people that die every day as a consequence of hunger are people who are living in chronic persistent hunger that don't look starving, that don't look emaciated like we used to think of starvation. These are people that look normal. All they have is malnutrition. But out of malnutrition, these people get all kinds of curable diseases, and this is the majority of the people that are dying constantly every day from chronic persistent hunger and not famine. Okay.
I have two questions. One's to River. What do you wash your clothes in? If you're environmental, how do you wash your clothes?
And while you're answering that, Lisa, what about the diapers?
And dispose
I have
of
diaper
the
service.
water.
You have a diaper service, so you use fabric diapers and they're recycled, it's fine.
Okay.
Yes.
I never had
River.
vaccinations growing up.
You what?
As a living example, and neither of my brothers and sisters. I know, but I just figured I'd clear that one up. But now...
You haven't been vaccinated.
No, I haven't, but she didn't ask that. So as you were saying, and the question was, do I use deodorant?
No! I asked, how do you wash your clothes and how do you dispose of the water?
Yes. My mom has this great mailing list for biodegradable and good detergents that are just a little more expensive but are very, very concentrated, so you can water it down, and it ends up, even when I get around.
Lots of questions here.
Whenever I can.
We got lots of people. Please, if we tighten them up. Yes.
I was just wondering how you first got very involved in doing this and the ecology, and how you learned more about it, talking to
By
River
hearing
and
about it from people like you or whoever.
You see the clouds in the skies and the smog. You see the waters running brown instead of clear, and you feel the lack of health everywhere in the world. You feel the suffering that's being caused, and it's getting worse. And you just want to do something. You say, how can I pretend it's not happening?
And listening to your body.
We'll be back in just a moment. That's, did you write that or did Lenny write this?
He wrote the music, I wrote the lyrics.
You wrote the lyrics, he wrote the music. That's Lenny Kravitz, the beloved husband of Lisa Bonet, and that song also has a political message, yes.
Okay, this is to Miss Bonet. I am a person in education, and I know that I am not allowed to permit any child into my classroom that's not immunized. Do you know that?
I know.
It's a law.
Yeah.
Do you know
now,
that?
Can I just let me have a second here. Some people are beginning to ask whether or not we should be like wooden soldiers because they can't come in, you don't have your papers. And
I know. Well, I don't want to
and you're not allowed in, and I have my orders. And don't argue with me because this is from the Department of Health, and we know what we're doing. Now, more and more people step forward and say, wait a minute, hold it here. Now, the problem is, well, look, I'm not saying I know it all here because there's no doubt about it. We have all but eradicated polio with the Salk vaccine. The 3D. What do you call it? How many DPT? Yeah.
The new one called HIB. They have no
I know. And so nobody's here to say we're all, nobody's acting like the Messiah here with all the answers. But you should also know that more and more people are doing what Lisa did, and that is to make their own decisions about what, if at all, how many vaccinations, if any, their child will receive.
Prevention is better than cure.
Yes.
Now, I was wondering, without a vaccination, a lot of countries are not allowed to travel.
Yeah, well, there you go. You're stuck on the back porch, kid. You know.
I would think Lisa would like to travel later in life.
Actually, I'm about to embark on some great trips, and I don't know.
But I assume you have been vaccinated.
Yes, I have.
So the issue would only extend to Zoe.
Right.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, Lisa, what do you plan to do for your child as she grows up? This would be a good suggestion to me also, to stop childhood diseases or colds, aspirins. What are you going to do about
nutrition? First of all, is, why are people getting sick? We have to ask ourselves this question. And cancer and heart disease and heart attacks, where does it come from?
Sick, are we?
No.
We're really not. And
we're missing the boat of life.
And it's amazing because it turns out that the very choices that we make that make us healthy, that prevent disease in the first place, are the ones that are best for our world and allow it to be really healthy.
The question was asked before, what provoked you people to get active in this? And I don't recall there being an answer. What turned each one of you around to promote this lifestyle?
Besides, like I said, opening my eyes and seeing sick people and just feeling the fear, is listening to my body. And when I ate meat, I didn't feel good. when I ate dairy, I woke up and groggy. My periods were painful, and they no longer are.
I have a few examples.
Well, with me, it was the...
Yeah. Raul! Raul! You're a courageous man. You followed that one now. We can hardly wait to find out what...
May I speak?
Certainly.
Thank you. With me, it was the Hunger Project. I got involved in 1977 when I realized that we could actually end hunger in the planet, and through ending hunger, improve the environment, and of course, have people eat and create the opportunity to eat for themselves. So that's what got me involved.
Over here, please. We have only an hour show. My good woman, this woman wants to ask a question.
There's so many organizations out there. How do you decide which one to get involved with? And
River, you want to swing
Earth Save is a very good one, which he's the president of, and founded on this book, Diet for New America. Is very
this is
provocative,
the book about which
very
River
informative.
speaks.
And then there's all sorts of great groups, the National Alliance, Greenpeace. I could name them all, but I'm not going to.
Please help me get some of these folks in. We got more wisdom out here than you can imagine.
I nursed my 20-month-old daughter, and she has chosen herself to be a vegetarian. She will not eat meat. And I've had so many doctors tell me that I should stop nursing, and I think it's a shame. And I was wondering if...
How do they
Stay by your convictions. You're in tune with your baby's health. You're in tune with her nature. You're doing the right thing.
And she's so healthy. She never gets a cold.
Why would a doctor care how long you...
Because they think she's a toddler. You shouldn't nurse. Well, I'm a military wife, so I see very many doctors whenever we move. So I've seen a lot. But I'm a member of La Leche League, and I have a support group that I turn to. And
But the point is, the more you go back to doctors, the richer they become.
Yes.
I would just like to point out that nutrition is very important, but if you're going to stop eating meat, you need to learn to combine certain foods to get a complete protein. And you need to educate yourself on that, but it's not something you can't just start eating beans and have a complete protein.
I wrote Diet for New America so people would know how to make the transition effectively.
I'm almost out of time here.
Raul, I know that you were involved with Results, which is a political will to end hunger, and they promote, I know, vaccinations of third world children. How do you respond to Lisa's claim about vaccinations?
I think the situation in the third world is different from the developing world. And I think still the mothers in the third world have to learn to think for themselves. Yes. But in general, it's something that creates health for children in the third world.
And we'll be back in just a moment. Earth Save is at 706 Frederick Street in Santa Cruz, California. The zip there is 95062. And this free call 800 number would be for the book, which is 1645. Yeah.
And that includes shipping and handling and postage and love.
It's an 800 number, and that's it right there. Yes.
How effective are you guys? I mean, you guys seem to be really involved. What are your results?
More effective every day because people like you are joining the cause.
Please be brief. Yes.
Yeah, River and Lisa, you're great. You should be commended, but channel your resources to organizing your generation. There's too many kids out there right now, your age, blowing each other away for drugs. Organize your generation.
Yeah. Education. I think education is a must and the first utmost thing we should do.
Isn't it incredible that those kids can have role models like these now? Yeah. Isn't that good?
If I may just say, well, you sound like an older guy saying, yeah, but you sound like you're saying, look, kind of pat him on the head here, nice going, but you're not doing the right thing, do something else.
35, I'm in here, I don't really care about that much than the younger kids. You should, I mean, this, you know, I mean, nutrition is fine. More important, organize your generation.
You're right, it's not nutrition. We were talking about how it directly relates to havoc on this planet, and there's no getting around it.
And how the balance...
Your celebrity that you have, you would be better
off... I don't want to argue with you.
Now you are preaching.
Well,
you're telling them that, let's understand, it doesn't make you wrong.
Hold it.
You're telling them, don't do this, do that. Don't do this, do that.
Well, I think it would be more advantageous.
Look, that's precisely what doesn't make things work, because it's going to take all of us. It's going to take all of us.
I agree with what he's saying.
You see, the thing is, I want to tell you, what I want to say is that you have as much power as I do in your own environment in making a difference. Neither am I. I'm going to be probably less long than you because you're 35 and I'm 32. I mean, 38. No.
Let's let Lisa in here.
I would just like to say the reason why so many young people are so screwed up and blowing each other away is because the balance is completely off kilter. And people are starving, are hungry, and are led to such severe things as drugs and that because
the environment is so ugly. And you're saying the environment doesn't influence personal behavior? Come on. And we'll be back in just a moment. Diet for America is the contribution of John Robbins to our improving the global neighborhood. Margaret?
I just think it's important to know that I think one of the problems is that the American people just aren't educated enough, and they're just manipulated by the media, and no one reads. And for Lisa to come up and be, you know, independent enough to talk about...
Services provided and promotional fees paid by the following.
I would just like to say that you guys have done a wonderful job, especially Lisa and River. You've opened my eyes.